All right, we're going to begin talking about function notation and evaluating functions. So guys, remember a function is a relation that has one input, for every input has exactly one output. Ooh, I've got to talk today. Okay. So this right here is what we call function notation. Okay, guys, it's another way of saying y. It's another name for y. When we look at this, we read this as f at x or f of x. Okay, this is one of the few times my parentheses do not tell me I'm multiplying something. Okay? So all this is telling me is that this is a function. We only use this notation when we have a function. We can use any letter other than f as well. G, H, J, K. These are some of the more common ones to use. T, S, C. There are other letters we can use as well. All right, so we're going to evaluate f of x equal to negative 4x plus 7. And we're going to say when x is 2 and when x is negative 2. All right, so if you recall from previous, when I evaluated a function, or when I evaluated something, we were plugging in what they gave me for the given value. And that's all we're going to do here. So I'm going to start with x is equal to 2, and I'm going to plug that in to my function here. So a lot of times we will write this as f of whatever number we're looking x to be. So in this case, we want x to be 2. So when x is 2, I want to know what my f of x is. Or remember, f of x is the same thing as y. So I could take this and say y is equal to negative 4 times 2 plus 7. Okay? But we're going to focus on this up here. So, because remember we said in the previous slide, f of x is the same thing as the letter y, I'm just going to ignore the left side of my function, or my equation here. And I'm going to work only on the right. So I'm going to do negative 4 times 2, which is negative 8, plus 7. Negative 8 plus 7 is going to be a negative 1. So this tells me when x is 2, my f of x is going to equal negative 1. Now, another way to write this, guys, is we have a point here, okay? This is a function, so we could graph it. I have an x and I have a y, so I could write this as the point 2, negative 1. All right, now we're going to look at what about when x is a negative 2. So again, guys, that f of, okay, that right there in the parentheses, all that's telling me is what I'm plugging in for x. All right, so this time I've got a negative 4 times negative 2, which is going to equal a positive 8 this time, plus 7. So far we have f of negative 2 is equal to 8 plus 7, and 8 plus 7 is 15. So f of a negative 2 is 15. So in this case, when x is equal to negative 2, our y value will be 15. And we could write this as the point -2, 15. Okay. So this would be our answers here. Guys, this is kind of what they would look like on a graph. Okay. Alright, so we're looking at this one here. Evaluate the function when x is -4 and 3. So guys, again, all I'm doing is plugging in. I've got g of x is equal to -x squared minus 1. Okay, so all I have to do, so let's start with the -4. So I'm plugging in -4 for x. Now notice, okay, just because I have a negative here, this negative doesn't go anywhere. Okay, I still write it. So -4 squared is 16. Okay, that right there just tells me I've got a -16 minus 1, which is a -17. So g of a -4 is equal to -17. So when x is -4, our y value is -17. That's terrible. Okay, so now let's look at when x is 3. Okay, -3 squared is, sorry, not -3, 3 squared, 9. -9 minus 1 is a -10. So when g is, or sorry, when x is 3, my y value for this function would be -10. Alright, so this is for the function h of x is equal to 2/3 x minus 5. And find the value of x, which h of x is equal to -7. So this time they are giving me what value? Well, remember, this right here is in place of y. Okay, so I could rewrite this function as y is equal to 2/3 x minus 5. And I'm going to replace my y with -7. So we get -7 is equal to 2/3 x minus 5. And can I solve that for x? Yes, I can. I'm going to add 5 to both sides, which leaves me with -2 is equal to 2/3 x. Okay. If you recall, we can get rid of undo a fraction by multiplying by its reciprocal. So just meaning I flip the fraction. Okay. And 3 halves times a -2 is -3. So when y is -7, or my h of x is -7, my x value is a -3. So we're going to look at one more of these. So same thing here. I want to know what x is when f of x is equal to 21. So all I'm doing is replacing that f of x. I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. So 21 minus 9 is 12. And that's equal to 6x still, because those canceled each other out. Divide both sides by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So we get our answer to be x is equal to 2 when our f of x is equal to 21. All right. So last one we're going to kind of look at is when we have a graph. Okay, and evaluating a function when we have a graph. Well, like I said, remember, this right here, okay, is the x value. So f of negative 4. So on my graph, okay, I am going to move along the x-axis until I get to negative 4. Okay, oops. And then I'm going to go up to where my graph is. And that right there is my value. So when x is negative 4 on this graph, my y is a positive 2. Okay, what about when x is 0? Well, x is 0 right there in the center, isn't it? What's y there? 0. Okay, we're going to look for when x is a negative 5. So f of a negative 5, remember? This number in here is the x. So we go all the way over to negative 5. Right there. And it looks like it's 0 as well. Okay. So guys, remember, this is still a function. Every x value has a single output. Alright, so now we're looking here. Remember, this right here is the same thing as y. So we're going to look at our y-axis now, the up and down. Okay, so what is my x when y is 2? Well, so I'm going to go up to 2 on my graph. Okay, so we've got a point here and a point here. And that's okay, we can have two things. Now one of these we can't pick out real nicely because it's not easy. We're going to get close. So x is going to be, well, we know right here it's negative 4, right? But we're also right here. So we're going to also say x is approximately negative 1. Okay. So now looking at E, we want y to equal 0. Okay. So y means we're not, this being 0 on the y-axis means we're not moving up and down. So right there, y is 0, isn't it? So we get x is equal to 0. And we get x is equal to negative 5. Okay. Alright, that's where we're going to stop this video today. So remember, when we are looking at evaluating functions, okay, from a graph, look at what they give me. If it's in the parentheses, it's my x. If it's f of x equal to, that's my y. And we'll get a little more in depth on some things about these in the next video.